Hey guys, SK here. Just wanted to let you know in advance that this series comes with a heavy content warning for graphic depictions of violence and abuse, both physical and psychological. The creator also has a small battery of content warnings they wanted to put out front, and we'll list those in full in the description below. Thanks.
We're back.
We are.
This half of the episode is sponsored by Wolf at the Door Cider. That's the name of it.
I still don't understand why we give free advertising and we are definitely not sponsored. Why is this our thing?
I don't know. I keep having a drink on hand.
I go looking for Mercy's house. It's dark. I can't see a damn thing.
If only Nid had Wolf at the Door brand hard cider.
It doesn't help that all these homes are practically indistinguishable from each other to me.
See, that's seamless, natural advertising right there. Organic sounding.
I'm taxing you.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, and how does it taste?
Fine. It doesn't help that all these homes are practically indistinguishable from each other to me. The only landmark I have to go by is the river, so I try to determine where it might be by remembering how far away its rushing was when we entered the home. I try a couple doors that I think might be it, knocking with a hey and then waiting each time. Eventually a door opens up.
Nina?
Hi. I chased out Faust for you two. Delilah's brows raise in surprise.
You did what?
Mercy comes up behind Delilah and pokes her head out to look at me.
Is that why I don't feel him anymore?
I nod triumphantly. It's all thanks to me. I gave him an offer he couldn't pass up.
An offer, huh?
Don't worry about it. Anyways, I totally didn't kill him. Can I come in? Delilah looks to Mercy for her approval, and Mercy nods her little head. The room is as small as ever. This time there are beetles huddling in a corner, and a branch is growing out of the nightstand and shaping itself into a lamp.
I'm impressed. Fighting him only made him come back for more.
Fighting? Physically? Is that the real reason why he's covered in bandages?
Well, maybe. Just kidding. He's always looked like that ever since he showed up.
I look at Mercy. She hasn't said a word to me. I'm sorry I said all that stuff to you. I didn't know you saw your stuff that way. Mercy stares at me hard, as if trying to decipher my intentions with mind-reading powers.
It's okay. I forgot to say hi. Hi.
She curls in on herself like a roly-poly as she says that. I suddenly punch the wall behind me with the side of my fist. Hi.
Huh. Nina?
It's nothing. Don't worry about it. Unfortunately, I frightened Mercy with that. We can't all be winners. Losers. I would be a loser if that didn't scare her. No, I don't want to scare her at all. Whatever. Forget it. Forget it.
Did you go to the other town? I couldn't sense you for a whole day.
Yeah, I went. Why didn't you guys tell me my mom was back?
Your mom? She means yeah.
Mercy goes quiet immediately. Her expression is completely unreadable, but there's a little army of beetles crawling out from underneath the bed to circle around her feet. It doesn't look like she's making another swarm. Why did that happen? Before I can dwell on it any further, Delilah speaks up.
I don't remember seeing your mother appearing in town. Everyone's followed the same pattern of showing up at the perimeter before deciding where to go.
You haven't seen her? Not at all? Maybe she showed up and then left before you could catch her.
Maybe. Mercy, what do you think? Probably.
She seems uncomfortable. She must not like the idea of facing the person she killed. Since Faust came back, I guess she doesn't get to choose who shows up.
Where did you first see her?
Do you really want to know? Mercy nods. Angelica and I were arguing, and then she showed up in a fancy dress. Oh, in the other town. The church is still there, and she came out of it. I think? Come to think of it, I never saw the door open. It was right in front of me.
A fancy dress. Do you mean her holy robes?
Did she wear something like that when she was brainwashed?
Brainwashed?
Delilah frowns and glances at me nervously. Don't tell me Delilah's barely told Mercy anything. You can't just keep her in the dark about everything uncomfortable forever. Yeah, the head priest brainwashed my mom.
What is brainwashing?
Of course she doesn't know. When your mind is controlled to think a certain way.
So, yeah, wasn't actually herself?
Call her MJ.
Sorry.
And it depends on what herself is for you.
Sometimes really nice, sometimes really mean.
Define really nice. Mercy taps her pointer fingers together.
She was really sweet to me and took care of me and always smiled.
Wow, what the hell did he do to my mom? Nope, Mom doesn't really get sweet about things. She hates sugarcoating reality. And define really mean.
She hit me and hated everything that I did.
Huh.
Did she not do that either?
No, she stopped hitting us when we entered our teen years. She really hit you at this age?
Yeah.
Mercy moves her lips like she wants to speak, but it takes a while for it to come out. I wait for her.
Does she,
Yeah?
Does she normally sing it?
Sing what?
The song. Dun posa amin.
I blink. Huh? What? Why does she know that song? My mouth is suddenly dry, even though I'm not thirsty. She used to.
So she wouldn't sing it today if you asked?
Probably not. She would think it's stupid to sing it to teenagers. The beetles around Mercy's feet start to climb up her bed sheets. I try to subtly angle my face so I'm still looking at Mercy, but the bugs are out of my peripheral vision. I can't really say it's pleasant to look at insects swarming a place someone sleeps in.
Why would that be stupid?
Mercy's voice is quivering. Because we're old enough to entertain ourselves.
But she didn't sing it to entertain me. She sang it to cheer me up.
And she would think that's stupid too.
Nina.
I can't hear Delilah over the blood rushing through my ears. Why is this happening? Who was this person Mercy talked to? It wasn't my mother. It's not fair. And it's not right. And more importantly, it's not fair. How come you got this sickeningly nice person? Why did you kill her? Sorry to disappoint, but my mother doesn't dress things up. She raises you up by making sure you can handle yourself. What's wrong? Are you disappointed that the person you brought back isn't who you thought she was?
Nina, stop it.
Delilah grabs me by the shoulder and pulls me back. It seems that I had been walking closer to Mercy and physically cornering her without realizing it. Those beetles that were crawling on her bed sheets now climbed all over the walls, and an inky branch was sticking out of the floorboards. The fear in Mercy's eyes dissipates. For a moment, I'm worried I'm about to be rightfully kicked out again, but she doesn't get angry. With elevated breathing, she speaks.
I didn't bring her back. I know I didn't. I've never sensed her, not once.
Then, who?
I don't know.
I'm speechless. Soundless, even.
Got him.
My eyes wander around the room as if the answer will be written on the walls. As Mercy's breathing regulates, the beetles decrease in amount, and the ink branch recedes. And then, it hits me. I had gotten so upset that I forgot my original goal. Every time Mercy has gotten upset, her power responds like it's flaring up. When Mercy described her time alone in the town with Angelica, in retrospect it sounded like she wasn't the only one capable of using strange powers. Angelica waited for me in the other town, like she knew I was coming. She stood there at the top of the hill, arms crossed. One hand bandaged, like a wound had been moved somewhere else. And my own wound, that Mercy had seen me with during the trials, was gone, like it was inconvenient. And if Delilah's been sticking to her trend of never telling Mercy anything, she wouldn't know that I was experimented on. Angelica. I mutter my sister's name in disbelief. It sounds like a gasp. Delilah has long let go of me. She and Mercy look at me as I stand there.
Nina?
I figured it out.
What? Huh?
I figured out what I have to do. I open up the door in a rush. Sorry about that. I'll be right back.
Nina, wait, where are you?
Delilah's voice is cut off by the slam of the door. The last thing I saw before it shut was Mercy's curious gaze. I set out for the other town with my inexhaustible body. This town is real. That town is a fake. Ever since we were little, Mom has liked Angelica a lot better than me, or so it seemed in my eyes. Angelica wasn't immune to getting in trouble, but I was definitely the one getting the brunt of it all. That seemed to have given her some kind of complex. She didn't like feeling like she was on the bottom. Seeing me bearing that difficulty must have made her afraid of ending up in my position. So she did whatever she could to assert that she was superior. Rarely did she ever call me by my actual name. Instead, she preferred calling me a small fry, emphasizing that she was the eldest constantly. If Mom called me an idiot or an embarrassment, Angelica would follow suit and judge me over things that even Mom would find trivial. I didn't like it, but I would have been fine with it if she had just kept that behavior between the three of us. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Like I said before, we were constantly moving. Having a consistent social group was out of the question. We were constantly introduced to new circles, bearing stigmas like our lack of paternal surname and strange moving situation. Angelica was quicker on the uptake than me, who had more difficulty navigating social situations. First, she would get to know others by emphasizing how much more ordinary and approachable she was compared to me. Then she would enjoy her social status while leaving me behind to suffer. It wasn't always bad. Sometimes I'd find my own friends, even if I was ripped away from them in the end. The internet helped me whenever this cycle was at its worst. I could make tons of friends from around the world. Besides, it was much more pleasant to try and make genuine friends who wouldn't mind how I was than to play Angelica's tiring social game. And I knew she was tired of it.
Oh, sorry. Let me back up there.
Because she'd often complain about those friends behind their backs and give them fake smiles. But at one point it seemed as if she had figured out that I was extremely resilient. It was like it scared her, She couldn't believe that someone meandering around the bottom of the food chain could actually continue to enjoy life like that. More and more often, Angelica would identify the most vulnerable person in her new class and use them as a stepping stone. At first, she just joined in on the bullying. That was disgusting enough on its own. Then, for some reason, she changed tactics. She would befriend that person. Angelica no longer sought the top. Now she wished to side with the stigmatized. I thought it was a good thing that she'd suddenly stopped being so awful, but it seemed as if I had misunderstood her intent. Complaints about those friends of hers would trickle in, one after another, repeated to me like I was a vent receptacle.
Sus.
They weren't like the things she complained about in regards to her other friends. Those things were just petty. These complaints were downright cruel. She would complain about things like her friends getting reasonably angry or their lack of money to get things when she knew they were poor. She would complain people wouldn't do horrible things for her like they owed her favors. I tried to tell Angelica that what she was doing was messed up, but she'd never listen no matter how many times I'd say it. Apologies didn't exist in Angelica's world. Eventually, she'd gotten so tired of my complaints, she'd start to belittle me every time I brought it up. And so I stopped. Then I tried to tell Mom that Angelica was doing messed up things at school. Unfortunately, Mom would either shrug it off or say she'd get tired of it eventually. At worst, she'd even agree with Angelica's complaint. I was at a loss for what to do. My breaking point came when we were around 14 years old. Angelica had finally crossed a line and slapped a mutual friend of ours. It was discreet. She hadn't gotten in trouble with it because she did it in the right place at the right time. That friend of ours came running to me and told me everything. I was enraged. I had enough. I had to stop Angelica. Not only was it hurting the people around her, but what good did it do her to keep repeating this cycle? There were times I had put people down internally to make myself feel better, but I would realize afterward that it was a horrible thing to do. Why did Angelica do all this, then pretend she was a saint? My plan was straightforward. I would embarrass her. I would force her into a position where multiple people could acknowledge her doing something bad. I goaded her over and over, causing our relationship to reach a boiling point. I brought her focus back onto me, and it culminated in an incident that I hoped she would never forget. Angelica tackled me in the middle of class. As she was about to punch me, she realized something. Everyone was watching her, even the teacher. When Mom found out, I barely managed to convince her to put Angelica in some kind of therapy program. I succeeded with the condition that we were never to tell anyone that Angelica was undergoing it. We were moved to another school like usual, and that was that. And gradually it seemed that Angelica was getting better. I really, really thought she was getting better. I was wrong. I see the other town on the horizon. I dash towards it. The loop must be broken. If Mercy can't do it, then Angelica, the only other person capable of wielding this power, might be able to. She's isolated herself and hasn't revived anyone aside from Mom. This closed environment reflects her heart. I doubt she remained in the bunker with Mom for long. She can also sense my presence, so I figure I have to treat it like a game of hide and seek. I look through every nook and cranny of the town. I open doors and peek into homes that don't look quite right on the inside. I press my face up against the glass of windows and explore every inch of the school, even the trash compactor. I head down an alley that I swear I haven't seen before, then stop when I see someone. It's not Angelica, but I find myself lingering to watch what's happening all the same. Clara is standing there, waving her hand in the air. I refuse to believe what I'm seeing at first. It shouldn't be happening, right? It shouldn't, but it is. At the end of the pointer finger on the hand she's waving is a little white, glowing, fluid strip of something. She circles her hand around it, and the strip follows, snaking around her finger and hugging it. It's almost like watching someone play with a pet. I can't see her expression from here, but she seems to be enjoying what she's doing. The strip starts to take on a more solid form. It connects together, like the fibers of clothing do, into a certain shape. Then, without any sort of ceremony or magical effect, it simply becomes something else hovering in the air. A black ribbon, just like the one she used to wear. I adjust my footing, accidentally running my foot along a rock and dragging it through the soil with a crunch. Clara whips around and stares at me like a deer in headlights. Aha! I don't know what to say, and stare at her dumbfounded. I don't think it would have mattered if I said anything, because she runs off before anyone could possibly get a word in anyways. I let her go. Even if what happened was interesting, she's not the one I'm searching for. I doubt she'd be willing to answer any of my questions anyways. Though as I run around the town, what I saw constantly tugs at the back of my mind regardless. Night falls. I still haven't found Angelica. The only place I haven't checked yet is the church. I don't want to check it, but it might be my only choice. At least I'll be walking into it at night again. It's scary to go in there without anyone with me, though. For a moment, I wish Delilah or Mercy was here. My head buzzes and my throat closes up as I push open the doors hesitantly. It's hard to see. Slivers of moonlight shine through the stained glass, but they hardly illuminate anything. Then I catch movement out of the corner of my eye. Angelica is standing up on the pulpit, resting her head on top of it. She sighs and rolls her eyes as soon as I see her.
I knew you would come back. I was hoping you would avoid this place, but I guess I can always bet on small fry being stupidly determined.
I march up the aisle and onto the transept, which is an excellent word, by the way.
It is a great word.
Angelica raises a brow.
What's got you so pissed off?
Sis, stop doing this.
Huh?
Angelica looks at me like I'm out of my mind.
Stop doing what? Can you explain yourself before you start throwing around accusations?
Stop dragging people to your town. Let everyone go. Angelica, bewildered, stares at me for a few moments before speaking. Why is she acting like she isn't doing anything? Typical.
I'm not dragging anyone over here.
So you admit that this is your town?
I guess I was the only person here after it melted because of someone.
If it melted, then why is everything back?
Because it just was suddenly.
Now I'm getting confused. Could it be that this town is the real one and the other one is the fake? Who is controlling the path? It has to be Angelica. It's got to be Angelica.
What's wrong with you? Why are you acting like this?
Why are you acting like this?
I'm not the one who stormed in here yelling. Learn some manners. Isn't this a church after all?
Not a church for any god I worship. I'm enlightened by my own intelligence. I know you're the one behind this situation. Release everyone and we can leave and get help for all the people still trapped in the pods.
Listen, sis, you're losing your high ground pretty rapidly here. Look, I'm not doing anything. Why don't you go talk to Mercy since you've been hanging out all at the place she's at so much? I thought you hated her for, stupid reasons.
Stupid reasons. How is the murder of our mother a stupid reason?
You don't even know the full story, dumbass.
I don't need to.
You're unbelievable. It was an accident.
Why are you defending her?
Are you kidding me right now?
Can you shut up and answer me? What are you two doing? We're abruptly interrupted by Mom. She's poking her head out of the hidden passage with an irritated expression. I shrink a little. How did she hear us from all the way down there? Moms are scary.
She came here and...
I don't care who started it, end it. Nina, what is going on? My fear is blown away and replaced with eagerness. Mom, I figured it out. Figured out what? You see, Angelica here has a special power that lets her make miracles happen. Angelica jolts.
What?
Right now, she can't control it, but it lets her revive people and change how space works and all that stuff. I think that the power might be controlled by her emotional state. That's why it's so hard to regulate.
Are you saying that I'm hysteric?
But if we just got her to calm down for a second, I think she'd be able to break us out of this town and save everyone. I'm smiling. Under Mom's scrutinizing gaze, however, that smile begins to falter. I hadn't realized how ridiculous I sounded while spewing all those stupid words. I brace myself for Mom's disbelief. What was I thinking? Mom opens her mouth and she says, Good investigative work. I'm glad you're using your head for once. My heart soars into the sky. Of course. I had forgotten she's already learned about her death since she went through the terminal files. It must be much easier to believe because of that.
So, no one's gotten... if you notice, there aren't alternate sprites for everyone. There's just the little cut-ins with their expressions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Except for Alma right now. This is the first time someone's gotten a new sprite, and it's Alma with a very... Or Angelica... I'm sorry, Angelica... I'm still mentally got to change it. Angelica with a...
Angelica looks between us with an unreadable expression. She's smiling, sure, but I can't tell why. I assume it must be the sweet and docile smile she always makes when Mom's gotten angry.
I think I know how we can do it.
No, I'm stupid. This is the smile she makes when she's trying to impress Mom. Of course, she only figures out what to do when Mom enters the equation. Well?
There's a girl I met here named Mercy. She and I had an argument.
More than an argument.
Please let me finish talking, Nina.
Her voice as she says that is somewhat strained.
I was thinking that we need to go get some closure. Apologize, you know? It's hard to move on without it. So, Nina, why don't you take me over there to see her? Yeah?
Would that really help?
Yeah?
An uneasy feeling churns in my stomach. But when I look back at Mom's expectant gaze, I stuff down my hesitation. I guess I could take you over there.
Yay! Let's go!
Angelica playfully hops off the pulpit and skips down the aisle. Hey, don't mess around in a place of worship. You're 15 years old. Angelica doesn't listen, bounding out the door. Watch your sister. Mom climbs back down the ladder. I do as she says and catch up with Angelica outside.
Because, you know, what I think we both really need is closure. Specifically me. I'm the one that needs closure. Yeah? Yeah?
The path feels like it's longer than usual for some reason. Angelica is a little faster than me, so I struggle to keep up with her pace. She hasn't said a word the entire walk, only humming Dun po sa amin to herself as she walks. Sis, what are you even going to say, exactly?
Sorry. What else would I say?
You never do that, I almost say, but I keep my tongue in check. Angelica returns to humming. The bigger the speck that is Mercy's town becomes, the more dread fills up in my heart. Before I know it, we've passed by the school and started up the hill.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't take long for us to find Mercy, who's making an unusually displeased expression as she faces an upset-looking Delilah by the river. I would have assumed it was because of our arrival, if not for the fact that it's clearly aimed at Delilah. I want to ask what's going on, but
Hi, Mercy.
Angelica makes herself known before I can.
Hey. What's up, Buttercup?
Mercy immediately steps back and Delilah gets in front of her.
Why are you here? Why, to make amends, of course.
Is that right? Delilah glances at me and mouths, "What's going on?" and I look away shamefully. This isn't right. But now that we're already here, I don't know what to do or say to make it stop. Angelica's taken hold of the situation already.
Be scared, Mercy. I won't do anything.
Mercy says nothing and only glares at Angelica.
Delilah, can you move? I need to talk to her. You and I already had our chat.
You could talk to her while I'm standing here. There's nothing stopping you from it.
I said move it.
I won't.
Beetles start to form around Mercy's feet. They form an orderly line and start sneaking towards Angelica. Is she going to eject Angelica from the town?
Ha!
Angelica looks down. Suddenly, all of the beetles are skewered by what appear to be paper spikes. They dissolve, the remnants of their little bodies flying away in the wind.
Wow. I didn't think that would actually work. So you control it using your imagination. Oh, that's interesting.
Leave. Leave right now.
I'm not leaving.
Angelica conjures up a little paper feather and toys with it. I'm frozen in place. I knew I shouldn't have trusted her. What should I do? She walks closer and closer to Mercy and Delilah.
It hurt when you slashed me, Mercy. It's a good thing that I managed to shield my face in time. I don't know what I would have done if you had hurt my face. I would hate to have a messed up face after all.
She grips the paper feather between her fingers. It morphs into another familiar-looking object, a big pair of scissors.
I'm very upset with you.
Paper wings emerge from her, ripping the back of her dress shirt to pieces. No, no, no. The ground begins to shake. All around us, houses are changing into strange drawings, and poorly drawn corpses are rising up from the ground like sprouting plants. Angelica rushes toward Delilah and Mercy.
I won't let you.
Right before our very eyes, a shield appears in Delilah's hand. She blocks Angelica's scissors with it.
What the?
Her frown twists deeper in rage and frustration. She tries to stab it, but the blades crumple uselessly, and the scissors turn back into an ordinary piece of paper. Angelica changes tactics. She attempts to reach out from under Delilah to grab at a defiant-looking Mercy. Stop. I don't realize I'm the one who cried out at first. I expected to stand there stupidly and watch everything unfold. But, like a miracle, here I am with my hands grabbing Angelica's arm, holding her back from reaching Mercy. Mercy looks at me with wide eyes. Angelica appears frightened. Her eyes remind me of the time I had embarrassed her in class. Unlike the others, I'm not constructing an object or creature to stop her with. I'm only grabbing her with my bare hands. That's it.
How?
Her body starts returning to normal, the wings receding. The town's image wavers and shimmers and fades back into what it was before this. I let go of Angelica, and she stumbles backward. The three of us watch as she continues to back up, step after step. I did it. I stopped my sister before it was too late. Angelica is too stunned to speak. She looks at each person staring at her, stopping at her sister before glancing down. It stopped. Why did it stop? Why couldn't she do it? Why was everyone standing against her? Those thoughts swirled around in Angelica's mind and made her dizzy. She sways and collapses. Paper covers her body, concealing and shielding her. She is mercifully drenched in ink and sent back to her faraway place. Even though, right at this moment, she feels killing her would be a real mercy after all this humiliation and pain. Let's hear a story. Two little twin girls are born to a tired, grieving mother. The first one to come out is a bright-eyed darling. In her exhausted mother's eyes, she looks like an angel that finally descended. The second one, giving her mom a bit of trouble, comes out in less impressive fashion. She's just a copy of the angel that was a pain to produce. The little girls grow up in a scary, hot, drowning world. That tiny family, estranged from relatives, only have each other. All around them, it seems as if fires are burning everything to ashes and floods are swallowing homes and people are going mad one by one. Apparently, this is reasonable, because apparently, humanity is going to die. This was an outcome that was apparently decided before the little girls even entered this world. So faced with that, it seems lots of adults have made up their mind. If you're selfish, get more selfish. If you're selfless, die while trying to help. When they were born, their mother chose to be selfish. She betrayed people for money and abandoned her morals whenever it benefited her. Death was not an option. She had children. In a way, maybe it was selfless too. If she really wanted, she could have died to escape and left the girls behind. But she chose not to. The two girls were raised by this selflessly selfish mother who took care of them in a manner she thought best. In their house, the stick was better than the carrot. Give the children the carrot too much, and they won't be able to handle an increasingly cruel reality. With this method, the mother was sure her little girls would grow up tough as nails. However, there was a problem. While she used the stick quite liberally, and always kept the carrot far away, the severity of its usage was not equal. To her, surely the issue must have been that one twin, the copy, was just a lot slower than the original angel. It did always seem to feel like that. What a shame, what a shame. The angel watched her copy suffer. First physically, when they were very young, then emotionally as their mother moved away from corporal punishment. The mere stroke of luck of her being the one to not suffer so much taught her something. If she maintains this position at the top, she will survive. She could endure anything so long as she wasn't living like that. In fact, why not live even better? She could take advantage of her copy's tendency to fumble and create an image of herself her mother can't possibly get mad at anymore. She'll become perfect. She's lucky and smart and talented. She was a genius for coming up with this idea. The world around her only reinforced her mindset. Those who knew how to play the cards they were dealt got to live nice lives. Genuinely good people died because they didn't know when to stop. And performatively good people lived because they knew when to cut their losses. She must have been one of those smarter ones. She was put through this hardship and then succeeded because she was inherently better than everyone, even her mother, especially her sister. In every school setting, she survived while her miserable copy of a sister suffered. It was great. For a while. The angel wasn't oblivious. She always knew what her copy was doing because they were friended on the biggest social media site in the Philippines. If she somehow managed to cobble up equally miserable friends, they would tag her in photos and show off things they were doing. The smile on her face was unmistakably happy. At first, the angel thought she might be faking it, and all her friends were fake, but as time went on, she realized it was real. Meanwhile, every photo she took with her friends, she was always the taker because she took the best photos, felt unreal and staged. Why? It wasn't supposed to be this way. The angel didn't want to accept the idea that maybe she was in the wrong all along. She decided to try out this befriending the lesser thing. It was great. They were clearly inferior, so the angel felt pretty good about herself. There was no more trying to compete with a well-kept posse. And many of them didn't have anyone else to turn to most of the time, so there was a slimmer chance of them leaving the angel. She would be ostracized for her choice in friends sometimes, but she didn't care. It only made it feel even better. These people she befriended needed her. She was like a savior to them. She made that choice to ruin her life. Don't you feel bad for her? The copy couldn't seem to stand seeing success. One day, she made it all come crashing down. Soon, the angel found herself beside her mother in offices with professionals to deal with her violent tendencies. With her mother there, concealing anything if she caught a whiff of a lie that was impossible. And if her mother caught a whiff of a lie, she would say so, and the angel was threatened with a miserable time in a hospital by the therapist if she didn't cooperate. That was only the first one that said that, but the angel could only assume subsequent ones would do the same. She liked the therapists that were nice to her, but her favorite one betrayed her by giving her a diagnosis, albeit one that only suggested she'd develop something when she was older. A brand had been placed on her. Nobody at new schools knew, but she could feel it burning on her skin. A bullshit manual considers her behavior abnormal. How? How was that possible? Everyone around her was the same. Who were you to say she was different? She found herself in Itbayat one day, far away from other people. She went to a little school in the town south of their home, but she and her copy were the only ones in their age group. There was nothing for her anymore. Once, her sister asked her a stupid question about what red meant to the angel. Blood. What else?
Calling back to the Mary.
Not figuring out how stupid that question was, the copy asked it again years later as they gazed up at the moon together. The angel replied,
Laughter.
The moon was laughing at her. The face etched into its white body always had its mouth opened wide like it was guffawing. Everyone and everything laughed at her. She wished the nuclear devastation took her life, like their now selfless mother wanted it to. But, once again, her copy had ruined that. She dragged them over to the bunker with help, not catching on that perhaps their mother actually knew something from her spy work. That didn't matter to the angel, though. What mattered is that she missed her chance to go to heaven and avoid further humiliation. It was the worst.
I hate Mercy. I hate Delilah. I hate Clara. I hate Faust. I hate Nina. I hate them all. I hate them so much. I want them gone. I want them away from me. I want to be alone. I walk through the town that is apparently mine. I can feel people walking around in it like they're crawling through my very own body. I thought just sensing Nina through some sixth twin sense, but now I get it. It explains why I kept feeling something strange whenever people came here. I'm dizzy. The world is blurring. I can feel someone is coming close, but I don't bother to move out of the way. If they don't see me, that's their problem and not mine. They should pay attention if they don't want to bump into anyone. Sure enough, the idiot bumps into me. My vision refocuses and I see a head of orange hair that should be matted and mottled with red.
Hey, watch where you're going.
The terror that briefly seizes Clara's expression reforms into anger.
I'm not afraid of you.
I shoot a paper spike up from the ground right by her foot. Mess with me again, and I'll skewer it. You wouldn't want that, right? Why are you here? I don't want you here.
You don't control me.
I shoot another paper spike up, mercifully missing her foot again. Answer the question.
I'm here because I don't want to be near Mercy. Isn't it the same for you?
That girl's a lot more docile than me. I don't forgive transgressions very easily. But Mercy would probably say it's all right that you encouraged others to beat the shit out of her. Why else would you come back carefully wrapped up in bandages? Clara steps back. She looks like she's about to make a run for it.
I don't want her to feel like she did something good. That's all.
I spike between her feet just to see how she reacts. Predictably, she leaps in surprise and then bolts in the other direction. What has she even been doing? She's just been meandering around the town. To watch her run, someone turns right onto the main path from an alley and runs right into her.
I can't get away from me now. I looked at the clock, and yes, it's Faust PM.
That disgusting piece of shit, Faust. Clara yells something at him, and he waves something in the air above her short little head. A ribbon. After 10 seconds of teasing, he hands it back to her and unexpectedly pats her head. What? That annoys me to see, so I go uphill. The disgusting church is a pain to get to. I hated walking up and down every day just to get from place to place here. In the past, we'd hitch a ride on our neighbor's truck or get on Mom's little motorbike for school, but there are no vehicles at all in this stupid cult commune. The only thing that made anything bearable here was Mercy. It was dumb and pathetic, but it was fun seeing her get confused. I should have kissed her when I had the chance. That would have really baffled her. Now she hates me and I hate her, so what the hell does it matter? I hate her. I hate her. I hate her. Ugh. She left me all alone. I hate her. I hate her. I descend down the ladder. I make my way down the stairs. I walk through the back room in the bunker and go through the busted door. I hate Mercy, and I hate Delilah, and I hate Clara, and I hate Faust, and I hate Nina. But most of all, I hate this thing. All of her parts are scattered around the floor of the bunker. When her puppet master leaves, she's nothing but a useless ventriloquist doll. I don't know what this thing is. It looks like my mom, but I know it's not my mom because there's no way she'd say nice things to Nina. She's supposed to say nice things to me. Only me. Just me. Because Nina is supposed to be worthless. I'm Mom's little angel. Except what I'm not. And that's annoying. I always try to be the best little angel that I can, or she'll get mad at me again. I start to turn all of the puppet pieces into useless scraps of paper. The pieces start melting into the floor and disappearing into nothingness. I am tired. I hate this. I hate it. I hate this place. 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 I hate everything.
Well, what do we have here? You would think Foster Clock ended? It's real fast hours now, bitch.
Is this Mercy reading now?
Oh yeah, my room feels really crowded with 2 other people in it, but it also feels really lively, so I don't mind it that much. Even though something scary happened, having people here with me makes it feel better. Nina had apologized over and over again after everything, explaining what happened to lead up to that, but I forgave her. After all, she stopped Angelica from grabbing me. I honestly thought I was going to die back there. Been sitting here recuperating and watching the beetles scuttle around on the floor and play tag. I told Nina about how they can do things like retrieve objects for me. She mentioned them acting like something called a dog, and explained to me that they were kind of like the loyal hounds of the founding energies, but smaller. Think back on that, I watched some of the beetles morph into tiny dogs. Unlike dogs, though, they still retain all 6 of their legs. Nina's jaw drops.
What?
They're dogs now.
You gave them a single googly eye on their head.
Dogs should have 1 eye, shouldn't they? Kind of like the hounds?
No, they have 2 eyes.
Oh. Whoops. The beetle dogs correct themselves and stick on 2 eyes instead of 1. They fixed it. See?
Yeah, I can see that.
Delilah hasn't said a word this entire time. Suddenly, she politely excuses herself and leaves. I watch her go, my stare lingering on the door as we listen to the footsteps fade.
Did something happen between you two? I saw you guys arguing earlier.
Delilah made me mad. Saying that took a lot, even though I didn't hesitate long.
Why?
When you made me realize just how much she was hiding from me, I was really kind of mad. I mustered up the courage to confront her, but her explanation made me really upset.
What did she say?
She said that she didn't want to upset me.
What's wrong with that?
Did I get upset over nothing? That's what I think Nina's trying to tell me, but she patiently waits for me to explain like she's sincere. I'm confused. I shrink.
What's wrong?
I am being silly.
No, not really. You have a right to know all this stuff, don't you?
So, I'm not being silly?
No. I just wanted to know your thoughts.
Oh. Well, I agree. I wish I knew all of these things. It feels like she's trying to make sure I stay easy to coddle forever, and I told her that, and she insisted that wasn't the case.
stare down at my dress and pull at the fabric of my skirt. She must be really mad at me.
I don't think Delilah's the type of person to get mad at people over that.
I look back up, tilting my head. She speaks with a blank expression. She normally has this expression. Used to think she was always upset with me, and I guess she was at one point, but now I understand this is just how she looks.
She's always been about justice and stuff. I think she was just being defensive. She's probably mulling it over now.
Oh. I went and assumed something bad about Delilah again. Why did you two team up?
It was kind of an accident. I had been walking up the church's stairs as she was coming down, and I tripped and let out an expletive in Tagalog. She knew what I was saying because of the comics her mom gave and translated to her, which were all in a future-ish version of Tagalog. That one word, leche, hadn't changed. I was so happy to talk to someone who knew Tagalog that I just kind of let it all out without thinking. And she asked me if I could help her stop the head.
What's Tagalog?
You know Dun po sa amin, but you don't know what Tagalog is?
I shake my head.
It's the language the song is in.
Angelica said it was a divine language.
She was lying. She's good at keeping up facades. Even if she fumbles, she can pick herself back up by pretending she was just being charmingly forgetful.
Well, that explains a lot. We go back to watching the Beatles play. They morph back into their original forms and have now started roughhousing with each other. Their little insect limbs flail around and bend like a person's arm would. I thought I would be more afraid and upset about being left alone with Nina, but I actually feel just fine. Well, almost fine. I feel guilty about the thing with her mom. Can an apology really fix it, though? Taking a life is too serious of a transgression to paint over so easily. While it's true the curse is resurrecting people, it's not like any of us would have known this was going to happen, right? The bad feelings from that time are still there. They didn't magically go away. That's why Clara left. I'm glad Clara decided to leave. I hope Angelica isn't bothering her. I look over at Nina, who's completely focused on the Beatles. I figure I might as well try to apologize, even if she doesn't accept it. I'm sorry.
Huh?
Nina, her focus broke and gives me a confused look.
About what?
Your mom, MJ. I killed your mom. Didn't you hate me for it?
Oh, right.
She unexpectedly seemed so nonchalant. I anticipated her to get mad like she did the day before, but what happened in such a short span of time? I did a horrible thing. Nina's gaze wanders to the wall.
I heard it was an accident.
It was, but she still died. Nina sighs.
I was mad at you because I thought you did it on purpose. But if it was an accident, what were you supposed to do?
I fidget. I don't really like leaving it at that.
Then don't. Feel guilty all you want. I don't control you.
Nina pauses for a moment.
Honestly, I think I still would have been mad if it were an accident, but it feels like you love her just as much as I do. What's the point in getting mad at someone over that? You were already suffering before I came into the picture.
I'm speechless. I've never spoken to Nina for such a long time. It's, kind of nice. I find myself wishing that she was the twin I befriended back then and not Angelica. Would things have gone differently if we had all teamed up to do whatever it was Delilah wanted to do? Come to think of it, I still don't know what their actual plan was. I'll have to ask sometime, but for now I'm fine with leaving it here and returning to the present.
So their plan had been to stop people from being drugged,
Mm-hmm.
right? But the way they accomplished that was by breaking the water filter.
Whoops.
Which, because understandably, like water goes in, water comes out, and that's the water people drink. Obviously, you think that's what must be causing the people to get. That must be what is drugging people, right? No, that's the thing that's holding back all the stuff that would have poisoned people. And you just let all that poison back into the water supply all at once.
Whoopsie.
Whoops-a-doodle. I kick my feet. Some beetles jump off the bedsheet and cuddle on my toes. I think Nina is a better name than Nin.
Huh?
Nina jolts at the surprise compliment.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Angelica and MJ are very nice names, too. I've never heard of someone who just has 2 letters for their name. I bet they're all pretty rad, though. People who only have 2 letters for a name. I can't imagine that they're all categorically the best people. Especially if those letters were like S and then maybe a K, is what I'm feeling. What do you think? I think that sounds pretty rad. And like people get that's what that name is from, right? Right? It's super obvious, right?
I hope so. I don't know.
My name SK is just like an elaborate kind of spinning out of S and K, which are the initials of my double-barreled first name. But I go by SK anyway, so it's like why not just have that be a name? That's why the initial E doesn't feel right for me, because it's like that's not actually what it is.
S stands for SK.
Yeah, exactly. Nina seems to calm down now that the focus isn't on her anymore.
It's actually a nickname. It's short for Mary Joy.
Mary Joy. I like it even better now. Nina stares at me intensely like I'm some kind of anomaly. I shrink again. Nina?
It's nothing. It's nothing. She runs. Oh.
No, you can narrate for me if you want.
No.
It's okay. I don't have to narrate.
No, you can do your own inner monologue.
Okay, thank you. She runs a hand through her hair. Did I do something wrong? No, I don't think so. She's trying to hide a smile behind her arm. I jump to another topic I'm interested in. So what does dunposa mean in my language?
You mean English?
English.
I wonder.
I
Oh,
wonder where the words for these languages come from.
I can sing it to you in English if you want, or if you have a piece of paper, I can write it down.
I smile. Can you sing it to me?
Okay.
Nina clears her throat. She glances at me from the side, pouting a bit.
It's been a while since I've sung anything, so don't make fun of me if I'm off key.
I won't.
Uh,
Nina hums a starting note and then launches into song. You could just read the lyrics if you
yeah,
want
I
to.
don't know the tune. In our town of San Roque, 4 beggars were having some fun.
I relax and listen. I'm a little more alert than I usually am when I hear the song, comparing the actual lyrics to the meaning Angelica told me it had. That was something she hadn't lied about. It really is a contradictory nonsense song. It sounds almost sarcastic in a way. Nina and Angelica sound similar in various ways, but there's also plenty of differences between their voices. Nina is a little rougher when she sings compared to Angelica, whose tone was very smooth. With the experience I have now, I'd take Nina's honest singing over Angelica's polished kind.
For fuel, he used cold water. Ah!
Nina finishes the song with a scream. Actually, I noticed she was having trouble picking good times to take a breath. She gasps her air, touching her neck as she does so. Are you alright?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's been way too long.
I think you did good.
Thanks.
Nina scratches her cheek, refusing to look directly at me.
You really like that song, huh?
It means a lot to me, so. She meets my eyes and smiles faintly at me.
I like that. I'm glad.
We sit there, looking at each other. I contemplate scooting closer to her, but I refrain. I don't know why, but the longer I look at her, the harder it is to tear my eyes away. Nina's smile starts to falter. For some reason, her eyes look a little sad. She's the first to break her gaze. Disappointment fills my heart. Nina sets her hands in her lap and tense her fingers.
I'm going back to the other town.
I jolt up. Why? That doesn't sound safe.
I have to settle things with Angelica, and I need to be there for my mom.
But what if you get hurt?
I'm always getting hurt. It's fine.
Without thinking, my hands shoot out and cover hers. And Nina's eyes go wide in surprise. Please don't go.
Mercy?
Please don't get hurt. Tears well up in my eyes and spill over. Nobody's died again yet, but the encounter with Angelica felt like it could have ended lethally if Delilah and Nina hadn't stopped her in time. Who's to say Angelica won't kill Nina again? The thought of her previous death already makes my stomach churn. You don't have to do all that, you know. You can do whatever you want here. This is a safe place away from her. She can't hurt you here. Nina doesn't immediately respond. Instead, she hesitantly moves to take my hands in hers. She brings them up and cradles them gently as she looks at me with a reassuring smile.
It's not like I'm going to disappear forever. I need to fix the issue with the path. That's all. There are people I know that need help.
Who?
It's a long story, but there are people from the past trapped underground. You guys knew them as the Holy Women, but to me, they were friends and family. If we break out of the trapped space, we can probably find people who can easily take them out and revive them. It sounds like technology has advanced a lot in the outside world. Or maybe I can get Angelica to revive them with her own power.
My bottom lip quivers, and so do my hands. You'll come back, though, right? Once you're done with all of that.
I will, I promise. You and Delilah are my friends. I'm used to losing real-life friends because of moves, but just this once, I want to keep seeing them.
I'm her friend? I'm really her friend? Nina finally lets go of my hands and then stands up. She walks up to the door and then opens it.
See you, Mercy.
I let her go without any further protest. When the door is shut, the beetles come up and give me company in my lap. I pet all of their little heads one by one. I guess we'll wait here then. The beetles jump up and nod. As night falls over the town again and shrouds my room in darkness, I wait for her.
I think you're back to.
The bunker is so silent you could hear a pin drop.
Ha ha!
Angelica and Faust face each other off in complete silence. To Angelica, this is the worst possible outcome. It hasn't been long since Faust showed up. She's constantly tried to avoid him all this time, but now the game is over. They're alone in a place far underground where nobody would be able to hear either of them screaming. Angelica doesn't wait. She makes a paper spike fly out from the wall beside her and aim at Faust.
Oh!
He barely manages to dodge it before it hits something vital, but it still grazes his side.
Oh, paper cut, huh?
Faust grunts and places a hand over the wound, but he continues to smirk nevertheless. Angelica watches in horror as the blood from his wound suddenly turns black, then bubbles up into little beetles. The beetles crawl back inside the wound, healing it completely, and even stitching his gown back together. He takes a hand off the wound and stands up to his full height.
I'm afraid that Mercy isn't going to let you do that. For you see, it's time for the hashtag Faust sweep.
Angelica starts to form paper spikes on the wall behind Faust.
So, the thing that's been coming up lately is that both Angelica and Mercy have their towns, and they're the ones that are creating the people wholesale within them, right? Because Angelica created her mom, and it looks like Mercy has created Faust. So, I don't know what to make of that, but seems to be.
Why are you here?
Can't a guy be curious?
The spikes fly out and pierce him from behind.
Oh, okay. Oh,
This time, they don't miss.
okay. Oh, fuck.
Blood splatters onto Angelica, and she smiles.
Whew, so you can bleed after all, huh?
She turns to leave, but the paper spikes suddenly dissolve into ink.
What the?
Faust rises. Once again, beetles come out and repair the wounds.
Once again, sweeping all the electoral votes. Something that Nina told me about, by the way. It's all Faust.
Once again, beetles come out and repair the wounds, bringing Faust back to an unscathed state. Even the blood on Angelica slides off of her as ink and returns to his body. He rights himself, using the wall as a brace.
That one got me good.
Angelica grits her teeth and steps back.
You're colder than I. Oh, come on. Let me monologue.
Spikes repeatedly stab Faust in a fury. Each time he's injured, the beetles simply come out, do their job, and return inside him. Angelica repeats this over and over until she's breathless from hyperventilating. She wants to make him feel the same way she did when he crucified and tortured her.
Oh, right, he did do that. That was a thing that he did.
Stab him endlessly, hoist him up in the air with strips of paper, and jab at him from below, just like that, over and over. But she has to stop. She can't do this forever, as much as she'd like to.
Oh. Ow.
The stabbings come to a slow. A hunk of meat, that was once Faust, plops onto the reinforced steel floor. Angelica thinks she might have done it, but as soon as she does, he slowly begins to reform.
Okay, so clearly you're not familiar with this kind of thing. The way you do it is that you have to, you see how like the temporary damage can build up and there's like a gap before I start reforming? What you gotta do is like cut me into separate pieces, isolate those pieces within a box, and then bury those boxes on different parts of the earth as far away from each other as humanly possible. It's simple. People have solved this years ago.
All of the blood and body parts return to where they belong. Faust, groaning in pain, rolls over onto his back and looks at Angelica upside down.
Oh, okay. I can't say I was expecting that one, though. So that's what that feels like, huh?
Faust gets up again.
Ugh.
Angelica's frantic now, looking for an escape. During her torture session, she made the mistake of wandering over to the side of Faust facing away from the stairs to observe his mutilation. Though it doesn't seem like Faust is about to attack her, she forms a paper spike on the wall right behind her and keeps it on standby regardless.
I said I was going to talk to you one day, and that day is today. Even though Sammy and Hector can't hear, I'd like to follow up on that promise to them. Well, Angelica, why did you do it?
Angelica narrows her eyes. Do what? Oh.
Do what?
Why did you do what you did to Mercy? Haha.
The air in the room has always been cold, but now it feels like it's freezing Angelica alive.
How do you know about that?
Oh, well, Mercy finally explained it to Delilah. I had already shown up in her town, so I overheard her explanation then, since she told her outside. If I remember correctly, you would hit her and yell at her and all those ugly things, all while dressed up in some paper costume you made, pretending you had a job. Is that right?
Angelica grimaces.
That wasn't me.
Oh, so that's why you put on the costume, huh? If you wear that thing while treating her like shit, you could pretend it was actually someone else doing it, right?
Who are you to judge me? You weren't even there.
Faust's smirk falters.
You've got it bad, don't you? I thought you would have been better than this.
Huh? What the hell are you talking about?
I really thought you were like me.
Angelica stomps her foot.
Why would I be anything like you?
You don't feel great when you've got someone under your heel. Wasn't stabbing me to death and shredding me up awesome?
It was. It felt amazing.
If Angelica were to honestly say those things, that would only mean one thing. She's no different from this boy, who she's categorized as the lowest of the low. There has to be something different about her enjoyment, right? She scrambles to spit out the answer.
I don't just hurt people whenever I want to, like you do. I have my reasons for doing things, but you do whatever you feel like.
And those reasons are?
Well, obviously I hurt you because you were hurting me.
Oh, was I hurting you just now?
Angelica falters. No, she's right to get revenge. She knows that. Her reaction isn't shocking or abnormal at all. She holds her ground.
No, but you did once, and I don't want you near me.
Alright, that's fair. And Mercy? Did she hurt you?
She. Angelica. Mercy.
Yes. Yes, she did.
Oh, did she now?
You were only hearing her side of the story. She was a menace to me.
How so?
She was unreasonable and out of her mind.
Uh-huh.
She would always cause trouble for me.
Go on.
My life was so much more difficult with her.
Angelica gasps for air like she's drowning. Her hair is disheveled. Beads of sweat roll down her face and splatter on the ground. She's long given up on concealing all the paper spikes she's subconsciously making. Uncaring of the weapons aimed at him, Faust rubs his chin, smiles while contemplating what to say, and then sneers.
You liar. I caught you red-handed. Do you honestly think that Mercy would let me anywhere near her? That girl consents where I am now, after all.
Huh?
I can remember that period of time as clear as day. I've been in a kind of limbo while it was happening. My haunt was the middle of town, right where your house was. Neither of you noticed while I was there until some beetle pointed me out to Mercy. Kind of it. Your little tryst with Mercy was so similar to my home life that I guess I just stuck in my blended up brain cells.
Angelica can't move. She can't move. She can't move. If she moves, then she'll get swallowed up by something unfathomable.
Play the Faust music, baby. This isn't the Faust theme, but it's also pretty cool, so.
She tries and fails to speak, only letting out disjointed croaks as her lips open and close.
That girl could barely defend herself. She pathetically took your attacks just like she always has. Honestly, if it weren't even for my luck at being dumped nearby, I'd have known you were lying anyways. I'm not wrapped around your little finger. You can't fool me. I know Mercy. That girl has an issue with bending over backward, the likes of which you have never fucking seen.
Angelica bites her lip so hard that it bleeds. Her face starts to feel strange. The bandages on her hand feel loose.
I hate a lot of different kinds of people, but I hate self-righteous pieces of shit who always try to justify their actions the most.
You're no different.
Words finally escape Angelica's tight throat. For a moment, she thinks she's caught him, but he only laughs.
I wouldn't really call my philosophy justification. It's only that, a philosophy. I don't despise anyone for having an issue with the things I did. You, on the other hand, you are different. You just can't stand not being on top somehow, can you? That is sad.
I
Angelica is a bad person? She's wrong? She doesn't have it all figured out? Is Mercy right? Is Mercy better than her? Nina's better than her, and so are Delilah and Clara and even Faust. They don't need her. Is that why she's always alone in this town? They don't need her? She's going to be all alone and die.
No.
Angelica crumples to the floor. The bandage on her hand falls away and reveals that there's no wound. She can feel the scar on her face with the palms of her hands. This is where Mercy slashed her to keep her away. Nobody needs her, and nobody loves her. Without need or love, nobody will be here for her for anything. Not in sickness, nor in death. For fun times and sad times. For basic needs like food and water. What has she done? The bunker fills with her wailing. All of her paper spikes melt away. Faust stands in front of her miserable form, a hand on his hip. The sneer that had been on his face has disappeared. He sighs.
Even this shit doesn't hit like it used to.
He nudges Angelica with his foot. She moves to slap it away, and so he pulls it back.
Jeez, come on. Quit crying. You're acting like it's the end of the world.
Angelica only sniffles in response, still not looking at him.
It's not like everything is over.
What? Of course it is.
It's not.
How do you know that?
Angelica's head snaps up as she screams at Faust.
Ugh.
He rubs his ear. The echo from her shout was amazingly painful for him.
You're still alive here, aren't you? You're more alive than me. You and Mercy never died. That girl's been spending her time reviving us and making a new life for herself. What are you doing with your time? Just moping? Instead of doing that useless shit, try making it so this never happens again if you hate it so much.
Faust says nothing more, and Angelica doesn't reply. Like he did with Nina, Faust quietly leaves her be.
I don't know why I'm the fucking voice of reason here, but so it goes, right?
Angelica, now out of tears, curls up on the floor and hugs her knees. When she senses a familiar presence arrive in the town, She gets up and starts walking up the stairs. I've become very familiar with this town. Even when it's dark, I can make out where I'm going. It probably also helps that there's a full moon tonight, but it feels as if, even if it weren't here, I'd find my way very easily. Unlike before, I try the church first. The same buzzing, fretful feeling courses through me as I reach my hand out to open the door. Before I can touch it, it opens before me. Angelica is there. The moonlight illuminates her face, which now has the scar of a gash running along it. I'm taken aback. Sis?
Don't say anything.
She walks out of the church and past me. Where are you going?
Just follow me.
I do as she asks. She takes us past the church and further up the hill. We walk past the bunker's true entrance, soon finding ourselves standing before a sea of knolls. I was sure we'd be just on the verge of being able to see the ocean, but something tells me that we can't walk past this point. The moon hangs over us, like a tiny light bulb on a starry ceiling. Angelica hasn't said a word, and neither have I. Something is very different about her. Did something happen? No response. Angelica only looks at me and motions for me to come closer.
Come here.
I hesitantly come to her side. She doesn't do anything and goes back to gazing up at the moon.
Do you remember when we were hanging out here?
I try to search for some hidden intent in her words, but there's nothing. She isn't angry at all. Yeah, we came out here because we couldn't sleep. The news about the Unix bug and all the war stuff was scaring us. We had to sneak past guys who were doing late-night construction on the bunker.
And we got to see all of them install some kind of sensor, right?
Oh, there was a sensor with an antenna buried right next to the bunker, right? I think it broke off and got blown away in a typhoon while we were down there.
Yeah, probably. What a stupid thing to do. They didn't optimize their crappy bunkers for the island at all.
I'm pleasantly surprised by our conversation, but I can't help but feel deep unease. We're only dancing around the issue. If I try to steer it in a direction that makes Angelica uncomfortable, is that it for me? I want to keep my promise to Mercy, but I can't leave until I finish what I have to do here. Sis, please stop this. I wait for the stop what, but it doesn't come. Something really did change. Angelica continues gazing out at the landscape, unresponsive. I think it's time for us to actually move on.
Do you remember when you asked me what word comes to mind when I see the moon?
Fear spikes in my heart. Yeah, you said laughter.
Why do you think that I said that?
I thought it was because you were having fun that night. Angelica shakes her head.
I said it because the moon laughs at me. It always feels like everyone and everything is laughing at me.
My heart sinks. Tears spill down Angelica's cheeks.
Everyone. Everyone.
Then there never was a time Angelica was fine. She's always been suffering. Why hadn't I realized it before?
I'm just tired. I don't want to feel like this anymore. Nina, what do I do?
I think. What can she do? I don't even know what I should do. We'll free ourselves from this closed world, and then what? Just thinking about it makes me want to cry with Angelica, and so I do. I don't know. I'm scared.
Me too. I'm really, really scared.
She sniffles.
I wanted to try becoming the town leader so we could keep the priest from brainwashing us.
That's what she wanted to do all this time? I helped Delilah break the filter to get the town to usurp him.
The filter?
I try to wipe my eyes so I can see, to no avail. He set up some kind of filtration device by the reservoir to put drugs in the river.
My God, is that why the water was cloudy?
Angelica's voice chokes up as her sobs worsen, and this only spurs on my own crying. I screwed up. I screwed up really bad. Angelica says nothing. For once, she doesn't mock me for admitting my mistake. The wind picks up. Whenever the moonlight hits my eyes, they sting more than they already did. With a choked up throat, Angelica begins to sing, and I join her. This is Dun Po Sa Amin. Our mother sang it to us when we were very small. She would always sing it to calm us down. It seemed that it was the only song she knew how to sing. She really wasn't much one for singing. I can still remember the smile on her face whenever she would do so. Even though Mom wouldn't sing it for us past a certain age, Angelica and I would still sing it together whenever we were actually getting along. Sometimes I'd even catch Angelica singing it whenever doing so tickled her fancy. I think she liked it more than me. She's practically an expert when it comes to singing that song. We finish singing, our throats clear, and our tears dried. Something in the air feels like it's changed. The hum of the ocean hidden in the wind suddenly seems much more audible. Instinct tells me that if I so wished, I could now take a step forward. I smile. Wouldn't it be nice if Mom were here? She was all scared back then and could barely leave the house sometimes, but now she could probably enjoy the night sky, even if just for a little bit. And I want to tell her I did it. I broke us out of this place, and now we can save everyone. Angelica's face twists in discomfort.
Nina.
Footsteps interrupt Angelica. We turn around. Mom is here. What good timing. It's like she could hear me. Mom! Nina, Angelica, did you fix it? I beam. This is it. This is the moment I've always been waiting for. I think so. Mom smiles. Smart girl. And then she disappears. Huh? I look to Angelica to confirm I wasn't the only one who just saw that. She's looking away with a pained expression, gripping her arm and avoiding my gaze as much as possible. Where did Mom go?
Mom was never here, Nina.
Huh? What are you saying? Weren't you the one who revived her?
I've never felt her presence, Nina. That mom of yours, that was all your doing. She's still down there, in the bunker, dead in stasis. Did you never look at her pod?
Then she never smiled at me. She never praised me. My hands shake and the back of my neck gets uncomfortably hot. A strange, suffocating sensation washes through my entire head. It's so discomforting that I collapse. Mom! Mom! This time, I scream as I cry. The wind and now the ocean roar along with me, and Angelica simply stands there and watches me like her own guts are being ripped out. Why? Why? I tear at clumps of grass and beat the ground, then stand up in a frenzy. I have to get her out of there. I have to save Mom.
Shut up.
As Angelica commands, my screams catch in my throat. What?
Shut up, small fry.
She's yelling at me again now. Why? I thought things got better. The scar on her face wrinkles along with the bridge of her nose.
Just leave.
No, I need to save Mom.
So the real mom can come out and ignore you again?
She wouldn't do that. I'm sure she would be happy to see me. I've seen it. I've seen and read about all the times she's protected and fought for us. I have to go and save her right now. Angelica sneers at me. If I were in my right mind right now, maybe I'd notice that sneer looked a little bit forced.
You can't do anything. I'm the only one who can do it. So why don't you just run off somewhere else?
I try to beg by calling out her name. But suddenly my throat feels too tight for me to be able to say anything. I reach up and grab it, and my palms find bandages. Oh, that's right. Angelica killed me by strangling me until she broke my neck. I was so happy I almost forgot. Suddenly, I find my feet getting covered up by pieces of paper. They contort around me and stick to my body, and I'm pulled into the ground by them. Bit by bit, paper covers up the rest of my body as I sink. I watch Angelica's icy look all the way down.
Don't come back here. I don't want to see you. You finished your job. You're not needed anymore. The one who will get all the praise will be me.
When Angelica finishes her evil speech, her glare fades, and the last thing I see before a piece of paper covers my eyes is her lost frown.
Goodbye, Nina. Nina disappears. I copy what Mercy did to me to drop Nina outside of my scope. I don't think I shot her where I want her to go, but it's far enough. Maybe Mom really would praise Nina for everything she's done and express joy at seeing her again. Nina, however, would probably keep chasing that high and hurt herself over and over again to regain that momentary bliss. And I would watch her fall and then laugh at her. All I know is how to pretend to belittle my younger sister, so... Just like Mercy did with me. I forced Nina to separate herself from Mom, and from me, with my little act. Even if just for a little bit. I know she'll come back one day. She loves us too much. I would hate enduring family bullshit by myself for too long anyways, but... For now, I can handle Mom on my own. I walk towards the church.
I come to on the path. The sun is rising, my shadow getting shorter and shorter as it soars into the air. The world comes into focus, and my eyes stare at what should be its left edge. I wonder why I'm seeing more dirt. I quickly sit up in shock. Extending from what feels like the center of the long path between the towns is a fork. I get up a bit too quickly and take in a gasp of breath. My hand flies up to my throat again and still feels bandages. It aches. Ugh. As I rub my throat, I walk down the fork at a more metered pace. It's going slightly downhill rather than perfectly straight. When I see a cluster of ruins in the distance, I stop. It's over. The towns are escapable. There's nothing there for me, so I turn around and start heading back. I continue rubbing my throat all the while. I stand at the fork in the path and contemplate what to do. I want to go back to Angelica and see how she's doing. Now that my head is clearer, I realize she was up to something, but whatever it was baffled me. She normally acts a little better than that. I make my decision and take one step in that direction. Ugh. As I do so, the pain in my throat increases.
Nina! Nina!
A familiar voice coming from behind me stops me in my tracks. When I turn around, I see Mercy running towards me. She seems a little tired as she does so, like she's been running for a while. Just watching her makes me feel tired. Tired? I can feel tired again? Mercy reaches me.
Are you done?
I don't immediately reply. Am I?
Bye, Nina.
Angelica's shattered expression from last night appears in my mind for a split second. I look in the direction of her town. I almost jump when I see movement in the distance. When I squint, I can see multiple people walking down the path.
Nina?
Mercy's eyes travel down.
Your neck is up.
I rub my throat again impulsively. My voice comes out hoarsely. Don't worry, I'm done for now. I'm done for now. Let's go. Wow, that was a Freudian slip.
Whoa!
Mercy nods and leads me in the direction opposite from the crowd. A few hours prior, Angelica was bracing herself to carry out a massive resurrection. If she were to tell herself that she'd be doing something this outlandish, however many years ago, in a more familiar Itbayat, she wouldn't believe it. She placed her hands on the door to the church.
Oh, yo.
Unfortunately, she was interrupted by someone she didn't want to see.
Everyone wants to see fast.
What is it now?
Well, I just came to say it's fasting time, baby.
Faust, shockingly enough, shrunk at her harsh tone.
And then I fasted all over everyone. It was great. You should have been there. I just wanted to ask you something.
Angelica sighed.
Spit it out then.
Are you going to leave?
So you figured out that there's no more loop, huh?
Yeah, so are you leaving?
Yes.
Then take me with you.
Angelica raised her brows in disbelief.
I'm not taking in charity cases.
No idea what that means, but I don't plan on being taken in. I want to see the rest of the world. I'll come with you if that's how I can achieve that. Simple as that.
Angelica opened her mouth to harshly reject his request, but sudden, harsh pangs in her stomach stopped her. Her hunger was returning. They needed food to eat. With the way things had become, it would be a while until they could leave the island to reestablish some sort of trade. It would be all hands on deck to sustain themselves in the meantime.
You can come.
Hey! Oh!
On one condition.
Yeah?
Angelica sneered.
You'll do your part.
Faust shrugged.
Sure, whatever. I could Faust all over some bitches.
And then Angelica opened the doors. When Mercy and I make it back into town, it's already noon. My feet hurt again. I'll miss being able to run back and forth as I pleased. My mouth is really dry. It's hard to breathe, too. And as for my stomach... Ugh. I double over on my knees in pain when a pang of hunger assaults my abdomen, letting out a small squeak.
Nina?
Hungry. It's great that this happened at all, but it's not going to matter anymore if we just die of starvation out here. At that moment, Mercy also clutches her stomach and makes a pained whimper. Oh God, we're gonna die.
I have an idea.
Mercy starts summoning up beetles. Unlike her usual ones, these ones are big and fat like rhinoceros beetles. Without warning, she simultaneously skewers all of them using ink branches. I squeak in shock. She takes one off its skewer and then squeezes it into her mouth. A bunch of ink-looking liquid fills her mouth and spills over the edges of her lips. Mercy doesn't seem bothered about whatever it might taste like at all. Mercy? She stops and looks at me, black liquid running down her chin.
What?
What are you doing? My raised voice is punctuated with more squeaks. She tilts her head.
Doesn't Dunpo Sa'abi talk about draining and eating bugs?
Yeah, but aren't they your friends? Mercy stares at me for a moment before wiping her mouth and replying.
They can be food, too.
My jaw drops. Countryside girls have insane grit. My little city heart can't take this. I feel like I'm about to pass out, but maybe that's from the difficulty breathing. We've clicked out of it again.
Oh, I did. Oh, shit.
What are you two doing?
I turn my head to see Delilah holding a couple of rations and a gallon of water. Clara is right behind her, glaring at us with a disgusted look as she holds on to more rations. Her ribbon is wrapped around her left wrist. She came back here? Mercy glances at Clara, but says nothing and quickly looks away.
Eating. Well, please wait until we have a shortage before resorting to consuming things that have dubious nutritional value. Please and thank you.
I'm about to get up to take some of the rations out of Delilah's hands to help her, but I think she noticed something's up with me because she shakes her head and mouths,
It's fine.
"Where did you guys find this stuff?"
Everyone in the town's regularly given enough food for a week, right? Disaster happening around the beginning of the week turned out to be a blessing in disguise.
Oh, good. I comfortably deflate for now. Now what?
We were thinking about trying to get into the place under the church for even more food. And then we'll start reviving more people.
The issue with reviving a bunch of mercy-hating cultists that we'll all have to deprogram aside, whose idea was this? I think back on the entry's mom, I read on the terminal and break into a cold sweat. We can't live off of these rations forever. Then what's your solution, huh? Don't tell me you actually want to eat ink beetles forever.
It doesn't taste bad at all, actually. It's kind of tastes like the blackberry jam packets.
I hate blackberry jam packets. They taste like beetles. Delilah smiles sickeningly sweetly at Clara.
Clara, why don't you go put these in the home?
Did you see her?
Clara goes from bitch to filled with love and affection in 3 seconds flat. Yes, Miss Delilah.
Never change, Clara. Never change.
Clara immediately waddles off.
Nope.
Smooth.
Their relationship hasn't changed at all.
Should it be different?
I'll tell you some other time. What was that? Nothing. Huh. Well, I'll leave these here with you two.
Delilah hands us each a ration packet, then sets a gallon down nearby.
You're both obviously very hungry, so feel free to have them. Will you be okay, Nina? What happened?
She gestures to my throat, which I'm still rubbing from time to time. I'm fine. Don't worry about it right now.
All right, then. Clara and I will handle the stockpiling in the meantime.
Thanks. Delilah nods and leaves. Mercy plops down on the ground next to me. I hand her an MRE, then open up my own. Chili and macaroni, huh? Oh, there's a cookie in here. I reach for the gallon so I can activate the self-heating pack, but instead of plastic, my hand feels soft skin. Mercy had reached out for it at the exact same time.
We're really putting a lot of fuel on the Mercina fire today.
I quickly pull away and squeak out my apology. Sorry. Mercy smiles at me almost mischievously.
It's okay.
She then drags the gallon over for herself.
Yoink.
I scratch my neck shyly. We make our meals and eat as we watch Delilah and Clara walk back and forth from house to house. I absent-mindedly chew on the oatmeal cookie.
What did happen, Nina?
What happened indeed? I just ended up like this after an argument with Angelica. She didn't do anything, it just happened.
Oh, I see.
We eat in silence for another few moments. Hey, Mercy. She quietly looks up from her meal, chewing as she listens to me. I feel irresponsible. Mercy swallows the bite in her mouth to speak.
Why?
I pace myself as I speak, and don't take a single bite as I do so I can focus on breathing properly. I'm afraid that Mom and Angelica will, I don't know, do something because I'm not there. I feel like everything will fall apart because I wasn't there for them. Mercy is silent at first. A piece of chocolate toffee appears in front of my face, pinched between Mercy's skinny little fingers.
Here.
I blink. You need that more than me, just look at you. Mercy doesn't withdraw her hand, staring at me. I reluctantly accept the candy.
I don't have Bobot, but this is close, I think. Oh, right, because Angelica gave Mercy the Bobot that she had been supposedly saving for for Nina.
Yep. I freeze mid-chew at her words for a moment before returning to it and swallowing. What's that got to do with anything?
Nothing. I just wanted to apologize before I forgot.
I never cared that much about the candy. It was the principle of the thing. I don't say that to Mercy, though.
I think that they'll be fine.
I stare at my cookie. You think so?
Your mom is an adult, and Angelica can't lean on other people forever. Wasn't she leaning on you, too? She never did treat you well the whole time I knew her.
My injured throat spasms. I unintentionally break off a piece of my cookie. Ah. Hot tears start to spill down my cheeks without warning.
Nina?
They hit the cookie and meld with it, sometimes hitting the wrapper and sliding off onto the ground. I get it now. How many times have I cried now? How do I still have tears? I furiously wipe my eyes and force myself to stop. I don't want to freak Mercy out. I feel her hand tentatively touch my shoulder. Sorry, I got something in my eye. Don't worry about it. Even though I was so hungry before, I've lost my appetite for this cookie, so I cover it up and set it in the bag. Angelica, you dumbass. I can't believe you. Once I can finally see clearly again, I turn to look at Mercy. She's so close that the tips of our noses nearly graze.
Sorry.
Despite apologizing, she doesn't move away.
Are you sure that you're okay, though?
Yeah, I'm fine. My entire face is hotter than the sun, and my heart feels like it's about to burst out and start running. In my imagination, I'd probably say something like, I'm fine now because you're here, but I'm not the type of person to spit out those kinds of pickup lines. Wait, do I like her? I definitely like her, don't I? She's still not moving away. Does that mean she likes me too? There's only one way to find out.
CG.
I pull her over by her dress collar and give her a clumsy kiss. We both have chapped lips because we haven't had any water yet. Because Delilah didn't give us any cups. Our teeth clack together a bit too. For my first kiss, it's downright horrible. Despite that, I like it. It feels nice. Mercy doesn't seem to know what she's doing either, awkwardly setting half of her hand against my side. I can't do it for long. I need air immediately. As soon as I pull away, I hear the sound of something falling on the ground. Clara and Delilah are staring at us. It was Delilah who dropped a box full of rations all over the ground. Clara's mouth is wide open in shock. She looks at me, and then at Mercy, and then at Delilah, and then actually starts to grin.
She's like, oh, you can do that.
I get up and start jogging as quickly as I can, hoarsely screeching my apologies as my shouts peter out into deflated whispers. No, I'm so sorry.
Nina.
What?
Miss Delilah, don't worry. I'm right here for you. The sunshine of the new earth blazes down on me, on Mercy, on my friends, and on my family. I don't know if or when I'll ever see Angelica and my mom again, but for now, this is fine. The door to my room opens. Hey!
Yo! That was rad.
That was a really good coda to what was already a really good story.
I know!
I was like worried, like, how do you follow that up? It went so far into the, like, everything is fucked ending.
Right.
Where just Mercy walks away. And this like managed to bring back the characters that we found compelling and like do it in a way that fits.
Yep.
And felt like a good emotional resolution.
Yeah.
And it,
absolutely.
like the original, did really well at showing the cycle of abuse, not just from the outside, but the interiority of both the people on the receiving end and the people dishing it out.
And it's not saccharine, but it is still ultimately hopeful.
Yeah.
Also, look at the little...
Miss Delilah!
Oh, hey,
NPC Casey worked on the accessibility features?
That's so cool.
That's fucking rad.
Oh, this game is so good. Get this game and play it, everyone.
Yeah, really. Like, even if you made it to the end here, go ahead and just get another copy. Because, you know, we want to see more.
Play it. Rate it on VNDB. Oh, Subahibi.
Yep. Oh,
I don't know all these others. We need to screenshot that, and I need to...
I've read NGE. Library of Ruina, I've heard people talk about. Oh, we're running out of time with the recording here.
Yeah.
Shoot. But, I've started reading Superhebe. It's slow to get where it's going, but it seems like it has some interesting things going on with it.
Yeah?
I don't know. We'll see.
And nobody here reads visual novels that take a long time to get where they're going to. Huh?
Yeah. Aw. Yeah.
In Renpai.
Thanks for 5 years. Hell yeah.
Good fucking game.
Good fucking game.
Glad we came back to polish off the extra content.
Me too. Is it still recording? Let's find out. It's still going for now, so.
Yeah. Join us the next time that Milk Plus Visual has another one.
Because it will absolutely happen. We'll play it then. We're already got to record this episode. See you all next time, everyone. Bye.
Peace.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.